Hong Kong's first traditional Chinese medicine hospital to open in December. The city sees visitors' year-on-year growth of 8% in September. And U.S. military strike another Venezuelan boat, killing 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Hong Kong's first traditional Chinese medicine hospital will start operating in phases from December 11th onwards. The hospital also offers integrated Chinese and Western medicine treatments. Residents can make appointments for the services online or via telephone starting from November 1st. Mo Sang-ai reports.
After a construction period of over 4 years, the traditional Chinese medicine hospital in Tseung Kwan O will first provide 12 specialist Chinese medicine services in the first year of operation. Both outpatient and day ward services are offered. The facility will start admitting overnight patients from the second year. The hospital will offer a choice of subsidized and market-oriented services at different prices for patients. Patients who qualify for subsidized services will be charged $180 for each consultation session, whereas the market-oriented price starts at $560. For day ward services, the fee will be $450 in the first year after a 30% discount. Nursing service fees will range from $200 to $800, while CT scans can cost between $500 and $2,000. Each dose of subsidized medicine prescription per day will cost $25. The price for each dose of medicine per day at the market-oriented price is $90. Speaking to the media, the Health Bureau said that authorities have taken affordability into consideration when formulating the subsidized pricing.
There is no element of competition whatsoever because the government is subsidizing all the costs. And as the market-oriented service, our pricing is already benchmarked against other comparative clinics in the private market. We are non-profit making institute, so we're not going to just aim at getting a lot of profit. We want to achieve a sustainable service, continuous service to the general public.
The government has appointed Hong Kong Baptist University as the hospital's operator. Mo Sang-ai, TVB News.
The flag presentation ceremony for the Hong Kong delegation of the 15th National Games was held today. The city's number of delegates this year reached a record 1,800. Presiding over the flag presentation ceremony was Chief Executive John Lee. The Hong Kong flag was handed over to Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism Rosanna Law, who also serves as the head of the Hong Kong delegation. Also attending the ceremony were Sun Shangwu, Deputy Director of Beijing's Liaison Office in Hong Kong, President of the Sports Federation and Olympic Committee and Chairman of the Organizing Committee of the delegation, Timothy Falk.
Law says
in order to further encourage the SAR delegation to strive for good results in this year's National Games, the Hong Kong Jockey Club will raise the original budget of the award scheme by 50%, meaning the prize money for gold medals for individual events will increase to $750,000, and that for gold medals for team events will go up to $1.5 million. The 15th National Games will be held in Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau for the first time. Hong Kong is hosting 8 events including fencing and beach volleyball. Towing Man, Hong Kong representative in beach volleyball, says she hopes more spectators will come and support them at the event, which will be held at Victoria Park. Meanwhile, at Sun Yat-sen Memorial Park Gymnasium, a vehicle dispatch ceremony was held for the 270 new energy vehicles from the Guangzhou Automobile Group, which is the official designated partner for the National Games. The cars will be used in Hong Kong National Games events. The Legislative Council has passed a ride-hailing bill at its third reading. The government aims to allow the first licensed platform to start operations in the fourth quarter of next year. The ride-hailing bill was passed in a secret ballot, having received majority support in the Legislative Council. Under the new law, ride-hailing platforms, drivers and the private cars giving the service have to acquire a license. The platform must also be registered in Hong Kong. When issuing platform licenses, the government will consider operating experience and their capital investment. The platform will also be required to conduct due diligence to all drivers and the vehicles. 2 Filipino domestic workers have been missing for over 10 days. They were last seen on Yeongok Road, Chunwon on the 4th of October. One worker aged 24 had been missing since leaving home for vacation. After her employer reported the case, police discovered the worker has tens of thousands of debt, as shown in receipts. Police sources also said the other worker, who is 33, is also heavily in debt. Her employer had been receiving debt collection letters since last month. The worker later claimed to her employer that she had returned to the Philippines. Some domestic worker agencies said they had received requests for help from employers who claimed their domestic workers would disappear after borrowing large sums. U.S. President Donald Trump said he was considering terminating some business with China in relation to cooking oil as a retaliation to a soybean snub. His criticism follows a 100% tariff threat last week that cast doubt on the status of trade talks. Trump's trade representative said the imposition of the steep levies depend on China's action. Danny Zhou has the story.
Donald Trump wrote on social media that his administration was weighing up forms of retribution, such as ending business with China on cooking oil and other elements of trade. He blamed Beijing for purposefully not buying their soybeans and causing difficulty for American farmers. It's an economically hostile act, Trump said in a statement, and claimed Americans can easily produce cooking oil themselves and don't need to purchase it from China. Hours later, Trump told visiting president of Argentina at the White House that Washington needs to be careful with Beijing on trade.
We have to be careful with China. Look, I have a great relationship with President Xi, but sometimes it gets testy because China likes to take advantage of people, and they can't take advantage of us. But we have a fair relationship with China, and I think it'll be fine.
This as China, the world's top buyer of soybeans, pivoted to Brazilian and Argentine produce in recent months and started to charge tit-for-tat port fees for U.S. vessels. Trump said China likes to draw wedges.
And China on the port fees.
China
they
likes to draw wedges
on U.S. ships, too.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess that's natural. It's China, and it's natural, but it's not gonna mean anything in the end.
U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said in a CNBC interview that China's action will determine whether the 100% tariffs will be imposed. Greer said a lot depends on what the Chinese do. They are the ones who have chosen to make this major escalation, apparently referring to Beijing's sweeping restrictions on rare earth exports announced last week. On Monday, a meeting between senior officials from both sides was held in Washington on the rare earth dispute. Greer said he thinks they would be able to work through it. He added that Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping are still scheduled to meet, though he suggested the plan may be subject to changes. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Major Chinese airlines are urging the U.S. to abandon a plan to bar them from flying over Russia on flights to and from the U.S., saying it would increase flight times, raise airfares, and could disrupt some routes. This came after the U.S. Transport Department proposed such a ban last week, saying the reduced flight time of the Chinese airlines puts American carriers at a disadvantage. Russia has barred U.S. airlines and many other foreign carriers from flying over its airspace after the start of its war with Ukraine. Among the 6 airlines sending letters to Washington are Air China, China Southern, and China Eastern. According to Reuters, United Airlines is asking the Trump administration to also add Cathay Pacific and other Hong Kong-based airlines to their prohibition list. The U.S. military struck another small boat accused of carrying drugs near Venezuela, killing 6 people. President Donald Trump said in a social media post that those who died were aboard the vessel. A video was later posted in Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's social media showing the attack. This was the 5th deadly strike in the Caribbean in recent weeks, as the Trump administration asserted it is treating alleged drug traffickers as unlawful combatants. In Venezuela, the president of National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, hit out at the U.S., claiming Washington's ultimate goal is to take control of Venezuela's natural resources. And still ahead, U.S. federal border agents fire tear gas in Chicago. Israel says body returned by Hamas does not match any hostage. And Xinjiang attractions ready to take on more tourists. In the U.S., a high-speed chase involving Border Patrol agents pursuing a suspect led to a crash in a residential street on Chicago's east side. Border Patrol agents were conducting an enforcement operation, say Department of Homeland Security officials. A person suspected of being in the country illegally used a vehicle to ram into Border Patrol and then fled. The agents chased the suspect until the car stopped and their target attempted to run away on foot. As agents arrested the suspect, a crowd began to form. Crowd control methods were used. The Chicago Police Department confirmed federal agents deployed tear gas into the street. Border Patrol agents can also be seen throwing tear gas canisters into the crowd as protesters coughed and ran from the area. Trump posthumously honored Charlie Kirk with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Calling him a martyr for truth, Trump presented the U.S.'s High Civilian Award to Kirk's widow, Erica, on what would have been Charlie's 32nd birthday. The conservative activist and podcaster was shot dead while talking to students at a university in Utah last month.
A horrible, heinous, demonic act of murder. He was assassinated in the prime of his life for boldly speaking the truth, for living his faith and relentlessly fighting for a better and stronger America. He loved this country.
Honestly, President Trump, I have spent 7.5 years trying to find the perfect birthday gift for Charlie. And it's so difficult. And those of you that have spouses or loved ones, you know how difficult it is sometimes to buy a gift for someone that you love, because he wasn't a materialistic man, so that also did not help. But now I can say with confidence, Mr. President, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have.
The Israeli military said that one of the bodies handed over by Hamas the previous day as part of the ceasefire deal is not that of one of the hostages who was held in Gaza, adding to tensions over a fragile ceasefire. 4 bodies were handed over by Hamas on Tuesday after Israel threatened to cut aid deliveries and close the Rafah crossing. Hamas said it was working to return all 28 deceased hostages after the 20 living captives returned home. Nasser Karim with more.
Just days after Gaza ceasefire went into effect, its resilience is being tested. Israel threatened to cut aid trucks going to Gaza by half, from 600 to 300, and close the Rafah crossing, saying Hamas was delaying the return of deceased hostages. Media reports say 5 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli attack in Gaza City, citing medical sources at Al Ahli Arab Hospital. Israel said troops opened fire on suspects approaching its forces by crossing yellow lines that designate IDF-controlled territory. Then this. The remains of 4 more hostages are collected by Red Cross vehicles in Gaza. Israeli police salute the convoy as they return home. Israel decided to go ahead and open the Rafah crossing. It brings to 8 the number of bodies returned. 3 of the latest 4 have been identified and 7 so far in total, with Israel claiming that one of the bodies was not a hostage. The latest 3 are Uriel Baruch, 35, Tamir Nimrodi, 20, and Etienne Levy, 53. The World Food Programme Director for Gaza, Antoine Renard, said it was paramount for all crossings to be open to allow in the required aid to reach Palestinians.
Relief is so adamant to reach people. The conditions are so dire into Gaza that still speaking about access to water, access to food, access to health, and access to a shelter is still a priority. And sadly, given the condition on the ground, they will remain for, I believe, a long period.
Meanwhile, relatives of released living hostages spoke to the media.
Gali and Ziv are home. They are safe, alive, and back in the arms of our mother, who never stopped believing this day would come. For 738 days, our lives were trapped between hope and fear. Yesterday, that chapter ended. Seeing Gali and Ziv again, holding them after so long, was like feeling the world start to move again.
Anat Ungrest, mother of released hostage Matan, said her son is relearning life routines, from small things such as sitting down to eat with a knife and fork. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Hong Kong received nearly 3.3 million visitors last month, marking an 8% rise year-on-year. Setting sail too is the city's cruise economy. This as an international cruise line, which was the first among its peers to return its docking in Hong Kong post-pandemic, is expanding its operations in the city, while aiming to win over a new generation of cruisers. Making waves and feeling the rush of free-falling on board the 168,000-ton cruise ship that sets sail across Hong Kong, Japan, Singapore, and more. In 2024, after the COVID pandemic, the international cruise line behind the fleet was the first to chart a course from Hong Kong as the home port of the company's Spectrum of the Seas. Now it's aiming to woo not just mature cruise crowds, but also younger demographics. Steering the initiative is the cruise line's Kelvin Feng. He says there are cruises to nowhere which are 3-day and 2-night weekend getaway that doesn't stop at any intermediate ports of call, see 85% of the participants as first-time cruisers.
We see an increasing trend of younger cruisers realizing the many things that you can do on board, hassle-free travel. They don't need to take any leave off work, and they can just come on, spend a weekend, get a taste of what cruising is, what international cruising is.
To tap the Greater Bay Area market, the operator has launched a 3-month partnership with China Rail, offering cruise promotions for high-speed train passengers. The company also says connectivity around the Kai Tak cruise terminal has improved.
The government and even the Hong Kong Tourism Board, and they've been very supportive into ensuring that the guest experience, from the bus arrangements to looking at appreciating the Victoria Harbour, and there are plenty of taxis also at the terminals.
The company notes each disembarking cruise passenger spends an estimated 3,000 Hong Kong dollars a day in the city, and their docking also buoys Hong Kong's catering, logistics, and port services income. The company's cruise operations in Hong Kong are back in full swing. After returning in late 2024 with 7 sailings, the operator has doubled its schedule this year, launching 12 round-trip journeys from November to January. Meanwhile, the city's tourism recovery is picking up pace as the city welcomed nearly 3.3 million visitors in September, an 8% surge year-on-year. According to the Hong Kong Tourism Board, for the first 9 months of 2025, more than 36.5 million travelers visited Hong Kong. Mainland visitors make up over 70% of the total, marking a double-digit increase from last year. Xinjiang is keen to develop its tourism industry with a target of receiving 400 million visitors annually by 2030. Sakar Ip has more at Urumqi.
Nestled among snow-capped peaks, the Heavenly Lake is an alpine glacial lake at over 1,900 meters. Surrounded by the Tian Shan mountain range, which stretches over 2,500 kilometers across Central Asia, with peaks soaring above 7,000 meters. This breathtaking scenery was recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2013. For newlyweds, Mr. and Mrs. Li from Hebei, spending their honeymoon with family in Xinjiang has been a romantic experience, especially under the sunny skies.
Visitors can also write their wishes on this kind of wish cards and hang it here to wish their dreams come true.
In addition to majestic landscapes, Xinjiang is home to well-preserved mummies displayed at the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region Museum. Thanks to the region's dry climate, these artifacts remain remarkably intact. In the first half of the year, Urumqi welcomed over 50 million visitors. To meet the growing demand, Cathay Pacific launched a direct flight between Hong Kong and Urumqi in April, currently operating 4 flights a week, with plans to increase to daily services.
We realized that there are actually lots of people, for example, from Southeast Asia, traveling to Hong Kong to change the flight to Xinjiang, and also from Xinjiang to Hong Kong and onward to other destinations.
Tong said the potential for the export of fruit from Xinjiang and the import of electronic products to Xinjiang is also growing. And adding cargo flight will support operation during tourists' off-season. Sakarib, TVB News, Xinjiang.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.